Okay, so you're here to get the lowdown on Silver IRAs.
Right?
You want to learn fast.
Yeah.
You want the knowledge without all the filler.
Cut to the chase.
Exactly. And that's exactly what this deep dive is all about.
That's what we're here for.
No fluff, just the facts on Silver IRAs.
Yeah.
And lucky for us, we have some really incredible material to guide us,
Absolutely.
compiled by none other than Doug Young. Now,
A legend.
if you know anything about financial investing, precious metals, you've heard the name Doug Young.
For sure, anyone who's serious about this stuff knows Doug's work.
Over 20 years in the game.
Yeah, he's seen it all, ups, downs, you name it.
So his insights on Silver IRAs, I mean, this is like pure gold.
It's a treasure trove, really. He's seen how these things have played out through thick and thin.
Through different economies.
Exactly, different cycles. So we're starting from a really solid base here.
Couldn't ask for a better guide.
Nope.
All right, so let's jump right in.
Let's do it.
What exactly is a Silver IRA?
Okay. Oh,
In a nutshell.
the simplest way to put it is a self-directed IRA.
Right.
Individual retirement account. But here's the twist.
Instead of
Just the usual stocks, bonds, mutual funds.
right, you're holding actual silver.
Physical silver. Like coins, bullion.
Tangible asset.
Exactly, you can hold it in your hand.
But, and this is the important part,
Right.
it still has those tax advantages.
Like you would expect with a retirement account.
Just like a regular IRA.
It's the best of both worlds. You get the potential for stability that comes with owning physical silver.
Right.
But you're doing it within a framework that actually helps you save for retirement.
And the tax benefits.
The tax benefits are key. Doug really drives this point home.
He does.
That's one of the big reasons Silver IRAs can be so powerful.
All right, so you mentioned self-directed IRA.
Yeah.
What does that really mean for someone who might not be familiar?
So self-directed basically means you have more control.
Okay.
Way more control than a traditional IRA. You get to call the shots about what you invest in. Yeah, it's not just silver either.
Oh.
You can explore other alternative investments like real estate,
Really?
even private companies.
Huh. That's interesting. So it's about having,
Options. You're not stuck with the same old, same old.
but wait a second, more control also means more responsibility.
There's always a trade-off, right?
Exactly. Doug is very clear about this.
Oh, yeah?
You can't just go rogue and invest in any random piece of silver you find.
There are rules. IRS rules.
Got to stay on the right side of the IRS.
Absolutely, if you want to keep those sweet, sweet tax benefits.
Okay, so that's a good point. You can't just throw your grandma's silver spoons in there and call it a day.
Right. It's going to be IRS approved. Specific types of silver meet their standards. And we'll get into all that shortly.
Awesome. Now, I know just like regular IRAs, there isn't just one type of Silver IRA.
That's right.
Doug talks about a few different options.
Yeah, there are a few different flavors.
Flavors, I like that.
Right. So you got to pick the one that suits your taste.
Okay, so help us out here. What are the different types of Silver IRAs that Doug lays out?
All right. So we've got the traditional Silver IRA, the Roth Silver IRA, and then the SEP Silver IRA.
SEP.
Yeah, Simplified Employee Pension.
Ah, okay. So let's start with the traditional Silver IRA. What's the big picture there?
So think of it like your classic traditional IRA,
Familiar territory.
but with silver.
Okay.
The main perk is your contributions. Those might be tax deductible right now.
Me?
You could lower your taxable income for this year.
Oh, that's nice. Less taxes today.
Yeah, but here's the catch.
Oh.
When you retire and you start taking money out,
Those withdrawals?
they're taxed, just like regular income.
So you're basically deferring the taxes.
Exactly. You're kicking the can down the road. And Doug's research suggests this can be a really smart move if you think you'll be in a lower tax bracket in retirement.
That makes sense. If you're making less money in retirement, you'll pay less in taxes. Okay, so tax break, now potential taxes later. Got it. What about the Roth Silver IRA? That's the one where you pay taxes up front, right?
You got it. With a Roth, you're using money you've already paid taxes on.
So no instant gratification with the tax deduction.
Nope. But here's the beautiful part.
I'm intrigued.
If you follow the rules when you retire, those qualified withdrawals, they're completely tax-free.
Really? No taxes at all?
Zip. Zero. Nada. And Doug points out this can be huge if you think you'll be in a higher tax bracket in retirement.
Or if you just like the idea of tax-free income later on.
Exactly. That peace of mind is valuable.
So if you're climbing the career ladder and you think your income's only going to go up.
Roth can be the way to go.
Okay, Roth for the climbers. Got it. Then we have the SEP Silver IRA. This sounds like it's for a specific crowd.
It is. It's tailored for small business owners and folks who are self-employed.
The entrepreneurs.
The freelancers, the side hustlers, all of them.
Okay, so what's the big advantage for them?
Doug highlights a couple of things. First off, the contribution limits, they're much higher than traditional or Roth IRAs.
Oh, wow. So you can stash away a lot more.
Yeah, if your business is doing well, you can really supercharge your retirement savings. And similar to a traditional IRA, those SECI contributions are tax deductible.
So another chance to lower your tax bill today.
Exactly. Plus, you get a lot of flexibility with the SEP.
How so?
You can adjust how much you contribute each year based on how your business is doing.
So if you have a bumper year, you can put in more.
Exactly. And if things are a little tighter, you can dial it back. It's all about adapting to your situation,
That's a great point. Flexibility is always good.
especially when you're running your own show.
All right, so we've covered the different types. Now let's dig into why someone would choose a Silver IRA in the first place.
Good question. What's the appeal?
Doug lists a bunch of benefits,
He does.
but the first one that jumps out at me is protection against inflation.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Can you break that down for us? Like, why is silver seen as a good hedge against inflation?
Okay, so think about it.
Okay.
When inflation is high, the value of your money goes down, right?
Yeah, your dollar doesn't buy as much.
Exactly. But historically, silver has held its value pretty well during those times.
So it's like a safe haven?
It can be. Now, obviously, past performance doesn't guarantee future results.
Always have to say that.
Right. But that historical trend is why people pay attention.
And Doug really emphasizes this in his research.
He does. He sees it as a way to potentially preserve your wealth over the long haul.
Because even if the dollar is losing value...
Silver might hold strong.
Interesting. Okay, so that's inflation protection. What about diversification?
Diversification.
Diversification of portfolio. Doug lists that as another big benefit.
A good reason.
Okay, so why is diversification so important?
So imagine you put all your eggs in one basket.
Oh no, the basket tips over.
All your eggs are gone.
Like disaster. My breakfast is ruined.
Exactly. Same thing with your investments. If you put everything into just one thing
These stocks,
and the stock market tanks,
you're in trouble.
you're in a world of hurt. But if you spread your investments around...
Diversify.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're not as exposed to the ups and downs of any one market.
Makes sense. Don't put all your eggs in one basket.
That's the golden rule of investing. And silver can be a really valuable part of that diversified portfolio.
So how does silver fit into that?
Well, think about it. When a stock market is doing poorly, sometimes precious metals like silver, they go up.
Really? So it's like a counterbalance.
It can be. Not always, of course, but historically it's acted as a safe haven for some investors.
So when one thing is down, the other might be up.
Exactly. And that can help smooth out the ride for your overall portfolio. Doug calls it building resilience.
I like that. A resilient portfolio.
Yeah, one that can handle the punches.
Okay, so diversification reduces risk. Check. Now, Doug also talks about historical value stability.
Yeah, silver has been around for a long time.
A long time. What makes silver so stable as an asset?
Well, for centuries, silver has been a store of value.
People have trusted it.
They have. It's been through wars, recessions, you name it.
It's seen it all.
And it's still standing. It's got this inherent value that's been recognized for generations. Plus, Doug mentions that silver is used in a lot of industries.
Oh, yeah, like what?
Electronic solar panels, even healthcare.
Huh. So it's not just some shiny metal sitting in a vault.
Nope. It's got real-world uses. And that demand helps support its value.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so historical track record, industrial demand, that all contributes to its stability.
Exactly. It's not just a fad.
Got it. And then the last benefit that Doug talks about is tax-deferred growth.
That's another big one.
Okay, so we touched on the general tax advantages, but how does this specific benefit work with a Silver IRA?
Okay, so picture this.
Oh, yeah, I'm picturing.
Your silver investments, they go up in value.
Nice.
You're making money.
Sweet.
But you don't pay taxes on those gains right away.
Not until you take the money out.
Exactly. Just like other retirement accounts, those taxes are deferred until you retire.
Ah, so the money gets to grow and compound without the tax man taking a cut every year.
Exactly. And Doug points out that this can make a huge difference over time.
Because all those gains are reinvested.
They are. And they're earning more gains.
It's like a snowball effect.
A silver snowball, rolling down the hill, getting bigger and bigger.
I love that visual. Okay, so those are some pretty compelling arguments for considering a Silver IRA.
Right. They've got a lot going for them.
But let's be real.
There's always a catch.
There's always a but. And Doug, being the thorough guy he also delves into the rules and regulations.
Oh, yeah. The IRS has their say.
Because there are rules.
Definitely.
And we got to follow them.
Got to stay on the right side of the law.
Exactly. So let's talk IRS guidelines. First up, IRS approved silver. What kind of silver can you actually put in a silver IRA?
Good question, because it's not just any silver.
Right, you can't just go to a pawn shop.
No, no, no. The IRS is very specific. The main thing is purity.
Purity.
Yeah, the silver needs to be almost pure. Doug mentions 99.9% purity as the standard.
Wow, so almost perfect.
Almost. And there are specific types of silver that meet this standard.
Okay, like what? Give me some examples.
Doug gives a few. American silver eagles,
I've heard of those.
Canadian silver maple leafs,
Okay,
and then certain silver bars made by approved mints.
so it's got to be the good stuff.
The top shelf silver, and your Silver IRA company, they'll be able to guide you on which specific coins and bars are eligible.
So they'll make sure you're buying the right thing.
Exactly. They'll keep you on the straight and narrow.
Okay, so IRS approved silver check. What about storage? Where does all this silver actually live?
Ah, good point. You can't just stash it under your mattress.
Right, I mean, it's a lot of silver, presumably.
Yeah. And the IRS has rules about this, too. Doug talks about IRS storage requirements.
Okay.
So basically, your silver has to be kept in an approved depository.
A depository,
Yeah, think of it like a super secure vault.
like Fort Knox for silver.
Exactly. Built for protecting precious metals.
Sounds intense.
It is. And there's a reason for it. This ensures the security of your assets.
And it keeps everything above board with the IRS.
Absolutely. Plus, you don't have to worry about storing all that silver yourself.
Right, because that could be a logistical nightmare.
Not to mention risky.
Okay, so secure storage in an approved depository check.
Yeah.
What about getting money into the account? What are the contribution rules?
All right, so this is important. Silver IRAs, they have the same contribution limits as traditional and Roth IRAs.
Okay.
For 2025, Doug's information says the limit is $7,000 if you're under 50
Okay.
and $8,000 if you're 50 or older.
So those are the magic numbers.
The magic numbers don't go over.
Why not? What happens if you do?
Penalties.
Oh, no.
Yeah, you could face a 6% penalty every year on the amount you go over.
Ouch. So stick to the limits.
Stick to the limits. And here's another thing.
Hey, mate.
You can only contribute cash.
Cash.
You can't just dump a bag of silver coins into your IRA.
Huh. So it's cash first, then you use that cash, buy the silver.
That's the process. Cash goes in, then you work with your Silver IRA company to buy the approved silver.
Got it. Cash, then silver.
Hmm.
Okay, what about when you want to take money out? What are the withdrawal rules?
So this is where it gets a little tricky.
That's a good.
The general rule is if you take money out before you're 59 and a half,
You get penalized.
big time. There's a 10% early withdrawal penalty.
Oof. On top of the regular taxes you'd owe.
Exactly. Unless it's a Roth contribution.
Right, because you already paid taxes on that money.
Exactly. Now, there are some exceptions to that penalty, though.
Like what?
Doug mentions disability
Okay.
and certain first-time home purchases.
So those are special cases.
Special cases.
Yeah.
But generally speaking, you got to wait until you're 59 and a half to avoid the penalty.
Or face the music.
Exactly. And then for traditional Silver IRAs,
Okay.
once you hit 73, you're usually required to start taking RMDs,
RMDs.
required minimum distributions. Basically, you have to start withdrawing a certain amount each year.
So the government can finally get their tax cut?
Yep. But Roth IRAs,
Those are exempt from RMDs.
no RMDs with a Roth.
No.
So that's another thing to consider when you're choosing the type of account.
Okay, so early withdrawal penalties, RMDs for traditional accounts.
Got it. What about reporting requirements?
Ah, the paperwork.
Nobody likes paperwork.
But it's important.
I know. What do we need to know about reporting?
So just like with any IRA, you're going to get tax forms.
Joy.
Doug mentions a couple. Form 5498,
What's that one for?
that reports your contributions.
Okay.
And then Form 1099-R,
And that one's for?
any distributions
Right.
you take.
Okay. So those forms, they'll come from the custodian, right?
Exactly. They handle all that stuff.
And we just need to make sure everything is reported correctly and on time.
To the IRS. Otherwise, you could run into trouble.
So stay organized, keep good records.
Absolutely. It's worth it in the long run.
Okay, so we've covered the IRS side of things.
Rules and regulations.
Now let's talk about actually setting up a Silver IRA.
The nuts and bolts.
Exactly.
Huh.
Doug walks us through the steps.
So what's the first thing we need to do?
All right, so before you do anything,
Before you even think about silver.
you got to figure out which type of Silver IRA is right for you.
Right. Traditional Roth SEP.
Exactly. And this comes down to your personal financial situation,
Like your income, your tax bracket.
your goals.
Yeah.
What are you trying to achieve?
And this is where a financial advisor can come in handy.
Yeah, this is super helpful.
Okay, so choose the right type of account. What's next?
Next, you got to find yourself a good Silver IRA company.
Okay, so this is the company that's going to help me set up and manage my account.
Exactly. And Doug is very clear about this. You got to do your homework.
Shop around.
Shop around. Look for a company with a solid track record.
Experience matters.
It does. You want someone who knows what they're doing. And make sure they've got transparent fees.
No hidden costs.
Nope. Everything laid out in black and white.
Mm.
And, of course, good customer service.
You want someone who's going to be there for you.
Absolutely. Someone who can answer your questions and guide you through the process.
Okay, so track record, fees, customer service.
Those are the big three. And luckily, Doug, he actually gives us his top picks.
He does.
He does. He's got my 3 best Silver IRA companies for 2025.
Okay, lay it on me.
All right, so this top 3 are Augusta Precious Metals,
Okay,
Goldco,
got it.
and American Hartford Gold.
All right, so those are the big names.
The cream of the crop.
And he singles out one of them as a leader in the industry.
He does.
Interesting. Okay, so we've got our type of account. We've picked our Silver IRA company. What's next?
Now we need a custodian.
A custodian.
Yeah, this is another important piece of the puzzle.
Okay, so remind me what a custodian does.
So the custodian, they're basically the administrator of your account.
They handle all the behind-the-scenes stuff.
Exactly. They do all the paperwork. They make sure the silver is stored properly in that approved depository.
Okay.
They handle transactions. They're like the go-between you and the IRS.
So they're making sure everything is by the book.
By the book, to a T. And Doug points out that Silver IRA companies, they usually have relationships with different custodians.
So they can recommend someone they trust.
Exactly. And it often makes sense to go with their recommendation.
Because they've already vetted them?
They have. They know who's good and who's not.
Okay, so we've got our company. We've got our custodian stored in. How do we actually fund this thing? How do we get money into our Silver IRA?
All right, so there are a few ways you can do this.
Hit me.
You can make a direct contribution
Okay.
with cash. Remember, cash only.
Right. No silver bars allowed.
And you got to stay within those contribution limits we talked about.
The $7,000 or $8,000, depending on your age.
Exactly. Don't go over.
Okay, cash contribution check. What else?
You can transfer funds from an existing IRA.
Oh, like a traditional IRA I already have.
Exactly. And the good news is you can do this without triggering any taxes or penalties.
Nice.
It's a smooth transfer.
Okay, so transfer from an existing IRA check. Any other options?
The last one is a rollover.
Rollover?
Yeah, you can roll over funds from a qualified retirement plan.
And like a 401k.
Exactly. But Doug warns us there's a time limit.
Oh.
You got to complete the rollover within 60 days.
Or else.
Or else you could get hit with taxes and penalties.
So 60 days is the magic window.
The magic window. Don't miss it.
All right, so cash contribution, transfer, rollover. Those are our options for funding the account. Now, what happens once the money is in there?
Okay, so once your account is funded,
It's time to buy some silver.
it's shopping time. And this is where your Silver IRA company really steps up.
They help you pick out the silver.
They do. They'll show you all the options that meet the IRS requirements.
The approved coins and bars.
Exactly. And they'll help you navigate the whole buying process.
So they're like your personal silver shoppers.
In a way, yeah.
Okay, so we've picked our silver. We've bought it. Where does it go?
Straight to the depository.
That super secure vault.
The one and only. Your custodian will handle the logistics.
So they arrange the transfer.
They do. And they make sure the silver is stored correctly.
According to the IRS rules.
I dotted every T crossed. And this is crucial because if you don't store the silver properly...
Well, you could lose those tax benefits.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's not something you want to mess around with.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've set up the account. We've funded it. We've bought the silver. It's safely stored away. We're good.
Well, not so fast.
There's always a catch.
Doug, being the diligent guy he is, he also covers the potential risks and drawbacks.
Because no investment is perfect.
Right. There's always some level of risk. And silver is no exception.
Okay, so what are some of the downsides of Silver IRAs? What should we be aware of?
All right, so one big thing is market volatility.
Meaning?
The price of silver, it can go up and down.
It fluctuates.
It does, sometimes a lot. And this is due to a bunch of factors.
Like what?
The economy, geopolitical events, currency movements, you name it.
So a lot of things can influence the price of silver.
A lot of things. And those price swings, they can impact the value of your IRA.
So your investment could go up.
Or it could go down.
So you got to be prepared for that.
Absolutely. You got to have a long-term mindset.
Don't freak out if the price dips.
Don't panic. And this is why diversification is so important.
Right, spread the risk.
Don't put all your eggs in the silver basket.
Okay, so market volatility check. What other risks should we be aware of?
Well, another big one is IRS penalties.
We talked about those a little bit.
We did, but it's worth repeating.
Okay.
If you mess up, if you don't follow the rules,
The IRS will come knocking.
they will, and they won't be happy.
So what kind of mistakes could lead to penalties?
Well, exceeding those contribution limits we talked about.
Okay.
Taking money out early without a good reason.
Right, those early withdrawal
You're
penalties.
not storing your silver correctly.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one.
Huge. You got to use an approved depository.
No exceptions.
No exceptions.
Oh.
So Doug's advice is pretty straightforward.
What's that?
Work closely with your custodian.
They're the experts
They are. And stay informed.
about the IRS rules.
All of them. Read the fine print.
So vigilance is key.
Vigilance is key. You got to be on top of your game.
Okay, so market volatility, IRS penalties, those are the big risks. Now, Doug also includes a section on frequently asked questions.
The FAQs.
Yeah. So let's tackle a few that our listeners might be wondering about.
Just good.
First up, is everyone eligible to open a Silver IRA?
Doug's research suggests that most people with earned income are eligible,
Okay.
but there are income limits for Roth Silver IRAs.
So if you make too much money,
You might not be able to contribute to a Roth.
but you could still do a traditional.
Exactly. So it really depends on your situation.
And Doug recommends talking to a professional,
Either a Silver IRA company or a financial advisor.
and they can help you figure out if you're
They
eligible.
can. And they can guide you through the whole process.
Okay, so eligibility check. Another question, can I include other precious metals in my Silver IRA besides just silver?
Yes, you actually can.
Really?
Yeah, a Silver IRA is actually a type of precious metals IRA.
Oh, interesting.
So you can include other IRS-approved metals like gold, platinum, palladium.
So it's not just limited to silver.
Nope, you've got options.
And what's the benefit of including those other metals?
Well, Doug says it adds another layer of diversification
Okay,
because even within the precious metals market, there can be fluctuations.
so spread the risk even further.
Exactly. Don't put all your precious metal eggs in one basket.
Got it. But those other metals, they still have to meet the IRS requirements, right?
Absolutely. Same purity standards, same storage rules.
Okay, so diversification within the precious metals category check. How often should we be reviewing our Silver IRA portfolio?
Good question. Doug recommends at least once a year.
Annually.
At least. And maybe more often if the market is really going crazy.
Like if there are big swings.
Exactly. Big upswings, big downswings, anything that could impact your investments.
Okay, so annual checkup at minimum.
And during those checkups, what are you looking at?
Well, your goals, obviously.
Right. Are you still on track to meet your goals?
Your risk tolerance.
Has that changed?
And then the performance of your investments.
How is your silver doing? Is it going up? Is it going down?
So it's all about making sure your strategy is still aligned.
With your overall financial plan.
Okay, so regular checkup's important. And the last question, a very practical one. Are there fees involved with a Silver IRA?
There are.
I figured there had to be.
Nothing in life is free, right?
Sadly, no. Okay, so what kind of fees are we talking about?
Well, Doug breaks it down.
Lay it on me.
You've got setup fees,
Open the account.
annual maintenance
We
fees,
keep the lights on
storage fees,
for that fancy depository
and then transaction fees.
when you buy or sell silver.
Exactly. So those are the main ones.
And do the fees vary?
They do. Doug says it depends on the company you choose, the custodian they work with, the depository, all of that.
So it's not a one-size-fits-all situation.
Nope. You got to shop around, compare fees.
Yeah, make sure everything is transparent.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No hidden surprises.
Okay, so fees are a factor. Good to know. Well, I think we've covered a lot of ground here.
You've been through it all.
From the basics of what a Silver IRA is,
To the different types.
the benefits, the risks, the rules,
Well,
the setup.
we've left no stone unturned.
And it's all thanks to Doug Young's amazing research.
He's the real MVP.
He really is. So to sum up,
Okay.
Silver IRAs, they offer a unique way to diversify your retirement savings,
With a tangible asset.
one that has a long history of holding its value.
And potentially acting as a hedge against inflation.
But we can't forget about the IRS.
Oh, no. The IRS always gets their due.
There are specific rules about the type of silver you can hold,
How it has to be stored.
how much you can contribute,
When you can withdraw.
and it's crucial to understand all those rules.
To avoid any nasty surprises.
Exactly. And then remember those different types of Silver IRAs?
Traditional rocks have.
Each one has its own tax implications.
So you got to pick the one that fits your goals.
And then, of course, there's market volatility.
Silver prices can go up and down.
So you got to be prepared for that.
Don't put all your eggs in one basket.
And lastly, those IRS penalties.
They're real.
They're no joke.
So stay informed, follow the rules,
Work with your custodian.
and do your due diligence.
Excellent advice. All right, so here's a final thought for you all to chew on.
All right, I'm listening.
Silver, it's got this incredible history.
Thousands of years.
People have trusted it as a store of value for centuries.
And it's not just some relic of the past.
It's got real-world uses today.
In all sorts of industries.
So, given all that, how might adding some silver to your retirement portfolio help you reach your financial goals?
That's the question.
How would it impact your overall diversification strategy?
Especially with all the economic uncertainty in the world today.
Yeah, the future's unpredictable.
It is. But silver, it's got the staying power.
It does. So it's definitely something to consider.
Definitely worth exploring.
Do your research, talk to a financial advisor.
See if it makes sense for you.
Because ultimately, it's about securing your future.
It's about building a solid foundation.
And who knows? Silver might just be a part of that foundation.
It could be. It's a fascinating option to consider.
Well said. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, folks.
It's been a pleasure.
Until next time, stay informed and stay invested.
And stay silver savvy.
I like that.
Yeah.
Expert speaker.